There's a return on investment in gardening that has nothing to do with property value and everything to do with why we're losing our minds in modern life. In last week's video, I shared a harsh reality about beautiful gardens that we don't always talk about. And based on the number of views and comments that I got, I'd say that was a pretty hot topic. Big, beautiful gardens may not necessarily be a feature that some home buyers are willing to pay more money for. Some home buyers equate gardens with work. But after all my years of gardening, this is what I know. Gardens provide real value that has nothing to do with real estate math. We live in a world that never stops screaming for our attention. We're more connected than ever, and ironically, people are lonelier than ever. I think people are looking to their phones and social media as a way to escape. Every day I have a choice. I can scroll through another cascade of bad news, answer one more email, get pulled into one more argument that really doesn't matter, or I can garden. Something happens when I step into my garden, and this is where the real return on investment in gardening begins. For me, gardening is one of the last activities that refuses to let me multitask. You can't plant perennials while you're checking Instagram. The garden demands my full attention, and in that demand, there's actually freedom. So at the beginning of June of this year, my husband and I moved from Michigan to Kentucky, and we're living in a house that we purchased as a temporary house because we're building our forever home. We're expected to be here for 2 to 3 years while we build our house. And I've taken the lessons that I learned from selling our Michigan home, and I'm using them to help me shape the garden that I'm building here in Kentucky. But just because I'm modifying my plans and not creating quite as elaborate of a garden in my temporary home, I have no intention to stop building a beautiful garden. Now I'm focused on creating a beautiful space for the future homeowners to see as a place that they can enjoy and escape the daily grind. But more importantly, I want a beautiful and restful space for my husband and I. The way I see it, life is too short not to build a garden. So let's take a look at how things are going in the temporary Kentucky garden and what's planned for the upcoming season. When we first arrived, the yard was a bit rough, but we quickly got to work, and within a few weeks, things were already looking tidier. I'm focused on creating a peaceful, cozy patio area where you can just open the door, sit down, and have some coffee. I'm also excited to continue building a pollinator-friendly garden. I've been so surprised at the number of pollinators and butterflies visiting this tiny little garden already, and I know it's just going to become even better next season. Here's a quick photo of what the front garden looked like when we arrived. All I've done in the front was really pull up the landscape blocks and relay them in order to create a more gentle curve. I spent around $35 on hardwood mulch and used the cardboard from our moving boxes to create a barrier for weeds. I'm planning to add containers and hanging baskets in order to decorate the porch next season, but I really am not planning on planting up the front border more than what you see here. So last week, I continued to work in the garden, and I actually expanded the width and the length of the pollinator garden. I added one more Oakland holly tree, as well as a few more perennials that I found at the local garden center. Right now, my focus is to use this pollinator garden to help me learn how to garden in this Kentucky clay soil. I think this is going to be a great opportunity to try to figure out what plants are going to work the best in this type of soil, which is why I'm purposely not amending the soil extensively. My plan for the autumn is to use the leaves that are going to be falling from the tree and just shred those leaves up using the lawnmower. Add it to the soil as an amendment, as well as use those shredded leaves as mulch. One of the fun things that I did about a week and a half ago also was that I had some seeds from my Michigan garden that I've added to the pollinator garden. So I've managed so far to plant some love in the mist, rose campion, some columbine, and some foxglove seeds. And I was super excited this week to be able to see that some of those seeds are starting to germinate. The most recent add to the pollinator garden are 3 additional Gara plants. The variety name is whirling butterflies. This is one of my favorite plants in the garden. I was laughing. You can tell how long this has been in the garden center because there's a completely different plant or weed that started growing in the pot. But I'm super excited to add these to the garden. Again, this is like one of my favorite plants for the garden. So you know what people are actually searching for when they're scrolling endlessly on their phones? At least in my opinion, it's beauty and reverence. The same things humans have always searched for. The same things that makes us gardeners stop mid-stride every time we get to visit a beautiful garden. So yes, I'm planting this garden knowing that I'll leave it behind, because the return on investment isn't in what I'll get back when I sell this house. It's in who I become while I'm here. It's the sanity I preserve and the sacred moments that I get to experience. Real estate agents are right. Gardens don't always increase property value, but they definitely increase life value. And in a world where we're surrounded by noise, that's a return on investment I'll sign up for any day. So plant that garden, even in a rental, even in a starter home, even if you're moving next year, because the return on investment starts the moment your hands touch the soil. Well, that's it for this video, friends, and I'll see you in the next one.